Hey guys, Julian here, and before we get into the main video, I just wanted to thank you all so much for 30,000 views. That is amazing to me, it's insane, and I appreciate it more than you know for giving me support, for viewing these videos that I create. It really means so much to me. Thank you so much for this amazing milestone, and hopefully we'll get to 40,000 next. Hey, review family, keep it high, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morris, the review guy, and I'm back to bring you another video. And in this one, I'm going to be doing an album review for Ordinary Corrupt Human Love by the band Deafheaven. So, Deafheaven, the infamous metal band from America that has been making major waves ever since they came about, with one of the most critically acclaimed metal records of the decade, praised by pretty much everyone, praised by the Rolling Stone, praised by pretty much every magazine, winning so many Album of the Year awards, and just really breaking through with a type of sound that hadn't really previously been done, and that is blackgaze. And it had been experimented with before, but Deafheaven is the band that really brought it up to the surface. So blackgaze is black metal with a bit of post-metal mixed with shoegaze music. So these genres that you would not think could coincide with one another really do, and Deafheaven is a band that I've just never been able to get into, if I'm being honest. I've heard Roads to Judah, I've heard New Bermuda, I've heard Deafheaven's Sunbather, obviously. Something about the band just doesn't hook me. But I do really respect their talent, and the thing about that is, I respect their talent so much that they're even being mentioned in a really prestigious video that I'm doing soon, so I'm not in any way putting them down. But at the same time, this 7-track affair that reaches into like the 60-minute mark just really was weak in my opinion, even by the standards of what I feel like Deafheaven was in the past. I understand why Sunbather was such a critically acclaimed album. New Bermuda was just mediocre at best. And then came along this album. And to me, it is just so weak, with really unfitting vocals that go alongside these post-metal, progressive metal type of just, like, they try so hard to be epic, they try so hard to fit in these piano pieces, they try so hard to really make these tracks seem bubbly, and they try their best to make them sound really lively, but to me this album was a slog, and considering it's only 7 tracks and reaches into the 60-minute mark, like 61 minutes, 62 minutes, something like that, it's just really monotonous, and maybe if these tracks would have been shorter, it could have been better. But for me, I feel like a lot of these tracks have such good concepts that are done to such a poor measurement that they all come off as being extremely weak. And I want to like Deafheaven, I really do, and I know a lot of people are liking this album. I know a lot of people aren't. I know a lot of people are saying it's just post-metal 101. And as someone who likes that atmospheric side of post-metal and black metal and the blackgaze type of movement, I just could not get into this album. You get these post-metal crescendos, you get these very atmospheric type of soundscapes, but none of them feel like anything that we haven't heard before from other bands that dabble in this genre of music more than Deafheaven does. And it's almost like they were trying to experiment, and I have nothing wrong with experimentation. I think that experimentation in music is what moves it forward. I think that you can't stay idle, you can't sit still. But at the same time, I feel like they could have stuck closer to their original core values that got them popular in the first place, because while I wasn't that big of a fan of New Bermuda or Sunbather or Roads to Judah, I can understand where those albums were coming from and why they were getting so much critical acclaim in the music sphere, specifically the metal underground and then the metal surface level reviewers and stuff. I can understand why those were so popular. But for this, there's not much I can defend in terms of it just being so middle of the road. And usually I give 5 out of 10s to middle of the roads, but I have to say that I was more bored with this album than I enjoyed it. And that's something I can't say about their previous material, because their previous material had a lot of interesting ideas that they were experimenting with that were fairly new at the time, with other people that were doing it, kind of like Alcé and other bands like that, that were part of this American wave of just shoegaze black metal hybrid mixes. But Deafheaven on this album throw a lot of that away for these cliche, very monotonous, very just overly long post-metal songs. And I know, before you go type it away in the comments, post-metals, they feature long songs, I know that. I like post-metal. But like, I just don't think that this was a very good album. And because I was more bored than liking it, I have to give it a 4 out of 10. Because it wasn't quite middle of the road, but it's very close to being middle of the road. And maybe Deafheaven will eventually start to impress me. They've impressed me in the past, I just have never been into them. I can understand their talent, but I've never been into their music. And for that, yeah, I give it a 4 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. And before you just dislike the video and leave an angry comment, try to understand what I'm trying to get at here. And explain why you maybe feel otherwise about this album. Or Deafheaven in general. I can chalk it up to a band that I'm just not that big of a fan of, but I can understand where they're coming from, and I can understand their musical values, and why so many people are fans of this band. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to discredit what they're doing as a band. I'm just trying to say that this album in particular was full of pitfalls that really weighed this album down in a massive way, in my opinion, and I didn't really enjoy it at all, and it's definitely not something I'd return to. I would return to an album like Sunbather before I would return to an album like this one. And so that's pretty much my thoughts of this album. Leave yours in the comments below, and like, comment, subscribe. I'll shout your channel out. I'll see you guys on the next video. I did a stream today if you want to go listen to what I said in that stream. But I'll talk to you guys next time. Until then, my name is Jay Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.